Well, good morning, everybody. Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. It is our time, and frankly, I've missed people over the last week. It's good to be back here on Elevating You, Reaching Your Peak. Kraig Kann, Mike Mooney, and yes, Jill Bauer. Great to see you all. And for those of you just tuning in for the first time, I just want to give you a little bit of a background as to how this has all gone, because it's been a couple weeks, and we might have a new audience based on an upcoming guest, which I'll get to in just a second. When we first started, it was Mike and I right there in the Alps, wherever that was, Mike. That picture that we had was.
I think it was the Alps. I think it was. It was cold. It was cold that day.
It was one of our greatest moments. I mean, we were able to, be there, as you could tell,
Yes.
braving the elements just in a coat and not even a tie or a scarf. And
not even. And I was having trouble. The wind was strong that day, and my hair had to really be held down. So it was a challenge.
It was a couple of cans of hairspray day for you. We've actually expanded the Kann Advisory Group, and I can't be more excited about that, to have Mike from Mooney Consulting and Jill from Just Jill Creative on board as part of Kann Advisory Group. And so this is taken on a bigger opportunity for people who are tuning in to get conversation, not just from me and Mike, but from Jill as well. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. But before I announce our guest, I just want to say hi to you guys and let you all have an opening thought. Jill, I'll start with you. We missed it last week. It was quiet. We didn't get to do that.
I know. I'm used to my little Thursday morning meeting with you guys and catching up and hearing all that's going on. But, we all had stuff, and it was the beginning of a long weekend. So it was, I think, a good way to pause and regroup, and excited about what we have coming up with Kann Advisory this fall, incorporating these special guests who I think have really relevant insight into how people are living and what people are worried about right now and what's happening. So I think that's a nice new dimension that we're adding into these Thoughtful Thursdays.
Yes, we'll add a little more on that topic a little bit later. Mike, how you doing? I love Mike's setup, by the way, Jill. Not only does he have those cool lights in the background, but he's got his microphone, dropped down like he's Casey Kasem doing, America's Top 40 and spinning the music and all that. Yeah.
He looks very official. You look very professional and official, unlike my basement setup that I have going on here. So
it's smoke and mirrors, it's just, look over here, not over here. So now it is so good to see you both and be back on. I gotta be honest, missing last week, and I was traveling as well, so it wasn't going to work out schedule wise. But Jill, you were saying what this is doing to help other people, and the feedback we're getting from folks, and Kraig, just getting back to why we started. But I gotta be selfish for a second, and that I come away from these conversations more inspired, more empowered, just from listening to the conversation and connecting with folks on Facebook Live, that I missed that last week. I really, as I'm looking back at the week, I kind of missed that energy bump, that I typically get on the Thursday mornings with the team. So it's good to be back.
I'll give you a little credit too, because obviously I follow you on social media, and some of the topics here have carried into some of your messages that you share with your audience as well. Yeah. So I think these things are great for a lot of people. Now, with that, we're doing something different today, and I'm excited about this. We've kicked this around for a little while. Some of these topics it's all fine to hear from us, and we do this almost every week, but we wanted to go in a different direction today and welcome in a special guest. And we're going to do that here in just a few moments after we kind of rehash what we talked about the last time. And that guest is Ken Skornia. He's the president and CEO of Krilogy, a big financial services institution in St. Louis in the Midwest. He's also an author of a book called The Playbook, helping people with their managing of money and their financial wealth and future. So we'll get his perspective, because the topic today is all about the uncertainty of the world that we're living in and how to handle that. And I think a lot of people, in whether they're employed, unemployed, furloughed, whatever it might be able to gain a lot from listening to somebody like Ken. So I'm really excited to bring him in, and we'll do that in just a few moments. Let me go to the conversation we had. See, we're going to go 2 weeks back now, and I can remind you guys of where we were. But this was our topic, and we were talking about burnout or just feeling stuck and not losing sight of your brand, which is a topic that we're all quite familiar with.
Right.
And we had a really lively conversation on this, and we got a lot of questions from people that were listening in on Can Advisory Facebook, and then we all post as we do each week to maybe LinkedIn or some of our other platforms. So I want to throw to last week's questions. Obviously, this is 2 weeks ago, but here we go. Mike, I'm going to give you the first one, and we're not going to spend a ton of time on this because I don't want to take up too much time and then not have enough with Kent. But Mike from Arizona wrote in and said this: I've been furloughed. I'm burned out. I can't seem to find the energy to seek or land my next job. A lot of burnout there, and he just doesn't have the energy to do what he knows he needs to do. So what would you tell him, Mike? How would you help him with that?
So first, it's a great question / statement, letting people know where you're at. I would encourage you to do a couple things, Mike. The first one is move. Start to move. And I don't care if that is getting up and walking during the day, it's starting to exercise a little bit. Just get up and move, get the energy going in the body, which is then going to start feeding up to your mind. Because what you don't want to do is settle into a mindset trap of feeling stuck and idle and in the place where you can't move forward. The other part that I would also encourage you to do, and this I found from my own experience over the years, because I've been there as well, Mike, I really have, is start reaching out to help others. Start reaching out to help other people. And I guarantee the work in helping others is going to help feed that spirit and that energy, and is also going to help open up some doors. The last thing I'd encourage you to do is get this book. It's called The Go-Giver. It's a fantastic book. I've read it a couple of times, and I believe you'll find some good truths in that about helping people, and in turn, will end up helping yourself. So I would say move, start looking at the book, and start helping others.
Yeah. Sometimes when you help others, the stuff comes back to you. A lot of people go to others to have them help them, right? Thinking about, hey, I need somebody to help me. But if you just reverse it and try to help somebody else, it could come back to you. So good one. Sharon from Rhode Island, Jill, this one's for you. I've been stuck for years. I'm guessing this is, somebody who's maybe had the same job for 10, 12 years or whatever. I've been stuck for years, really struggling to find what's next for me, but I'm trapped with complacency and don't know where to start. What would you tell Sharon from Rhode Island? A lot of complacency there.
Yeah, so I think you have to really take a look and say, all right, so I feel stuck and I've been here for a long time. But if I really take a step back and ask myself, if I had an hour to myself today, what would I do with that? Take a look at what your answer is and see if that doesn't lead you to where your passion lies. And I think we've talked about passion here before, what a motivator that can be, what a driver it can be, how it inspires people because they enjoy doing it, so it doesn't feel like work. So I think to get out of that rut, you have to sort of reevaluate where is your passion? What do you love to do? And how can you then take that love and inspire yourself to change things at work if that's where you're feeling stuck? If you're not finding the motivation to go find something new, maybe you haven't been looking for the right thing because you're thinking about it in terms of a stepwise job fashion. But part of what makes you and will make you a good employee is bringing passion to that job as well. So I would say, what would you do if you had an hour to yourself and you could do anything? My hope is you say, I don't want to do nothing, or I don't want to do anything. There has to be something you'd like to do. And then really think about why you love that and what you can do with that might get you out of this rut.
Passion first, purposeful next, right? With a commitment to seeing something through, but finding out what it is that really gets you excited. Go make a change or make a difference, not just for yourself, but kind of to what Mike said, to doing something for other people, I think is really important. Again, to everybody, we appreciate the questions, and I'll show you how you can get them to us. Obviously, you can put them on Facebook Live, but there's some other ways as well, which we will get to. So really good stuff. Now, for everybody out there, I want to share today's topic. This is where we're going today. Now, if you followed us for a while, you know that each of us here, the three of us, are all entrepreneurs in our own way. We've all had careers of the things that we did prior. For me, it was television and then an executive role in sports, in the C-suite in communications. For Jill, it was a long career in broadcasting with QVC, selling, marketing, and doing quite well, connecting with audiences for a long time, and now working with the Today Show, which is really cool. For Mike, it's years as an executive in sales and also marketing in motorsports, to where he made a big difference for a whole lot of people, building brands. And now as an author of a book called Reputation Shift, which is cool, by the way, audio version coming out. We can plug that right now.
Thanks for the plug.
We'll get to that. He's helped a lot of people not just build the brand, but maintain it, how to grow it, how to nurture it, and the importance of it. So all of us are entrepreneurs, but I'm bringing in a special guest now who has been a friend of mine for a number of years. And the truth of the story is, a long time ago, he like Jill and I, also went to the University of Missouri. Kent was a quarterback at Mizzou years ago, and but super smart in so many areas, and founded his own company. President and CEO of Krilogy, which is a big financial services firm. And I'm not going to tell all the details of that, but also an author of a book called The Playbook. Kent, number one, thank you so much for joining us today. This is really cool. This is a first. So we're breaking new ground, and you get to be the first guy. So I'm excited. I'm going to let you share a few thoughts about maybe what you've heard already, and some thoughts on the topic today.
Well, thank you, Kraig, and Jill and Mike. Very, very nice to be with you all. I'm really excited to be here. I loved your answers, both Jill and Mike, on the questions. Where do we start? It's a really challenging time in the world today. Lots of uncertainty, literally in all aspects of our life at this point. And, the world has turned upside down, and I think it's touched us in so many ways that we never even realized how it could impact us. So I'm excited to have the conversation today.
Ken, before we go any further, have you seen, in working with people that either come to you, clients you might be reaching out to, even your employees? I think it's important to focus on employees, about the nervousness that everybody feels or has felt over the last 4 or 5 months, and maybe staring out a window wondering, where is this all going? Because I don't think anybody has the answers right now. And even the smartest people that we all know, who seem to always have the answers, they don't even know what the answer is. So what are you seeing in your employees and the clients that you have?
That's a great question. I think, well, first of all, just to give a quick sort of context here, we have a firm that is located here in St. Louis, multiple office locations, 50 plus employees, well over 1,000 clients. And our advisors, our wealth advisors, and our staff are serving those clients in a number of capacities, mostly money management, but also wealth management, and then whatever that entails. And anytime you're speaking to someone about their finances, it really bleeds over into a lot of parts of their life. So what I see from my view is there's uncertainty. And I think when I talk to an employee, they're trying to really play at a high level for our clients and take great care of our clients, but they also have massive challenges going on at home. They're well employed here. They have a great job. They're happy with what they're doing, but they also, Jill, I think you mentioned something about high school, students starting high school earlier. We have lots of parents here who are juggling both their career and also their personal lives in terms of their children, or even more stressful, their parents. And I think those are challenges that are just really, really hard not to overcome, because we can overcome them. They're just really heavy. And it sort of put the stress on the entire group. Now, our clients are going through the exact same thing. And for the most part, our clients are doing okay and are doing well. But there's a portion of our clients who are actually really challenged at the moment, whether they have been, furloughed, lost a job, downsized. Those are really, really stressful times. And they're stressful times on their own. I think all of us have gone through on this call a moment where it's like, holy cow, I don't have a position at this moment in my career. where do I go next? And then you throw COVID on top of that. It's a second level of stress that most people have never gone through.
Yeah, you're probably not just a wealth advisor. You're a camp counselor in a way for people who are nervous about how much money might be coming in and how much can they protect, where do they protect it, et cetera. Mike or Jill, I mean, honestly, if you have any questions for Kent, by all means, or a comment, jump in. I'm going to let you say something here first, Jill, and then Mike, I'll give you a comment, and then I'm going to move into some questions that I wanted to run through that I can get all of your thoughts on. So Jill, you're up first.
Well, I think one thing that I think a lot about, Kent, is, in your type of position, oftentimes people are coming to you and they already have a little bit of wealth built up. But I really sympathize with the families out there who maybe didn't have enough saved or thought they had enough saved. Their job circumstance has now changed, and now they're wondering, how are we going to make it all work? So when you're talking to people, what would you say to somebody who, knows they have to be saving right now, but are in a situation where that's going to be really difficult? How do they handle that?
Well, I think the first question you have to ask, well, the first thing I actually tell them is this will end. This COVID, this unemployment part of your life will come to an end. Something will change. And so I think that's the first piece, is that, okay, well, now I know that this moment of my life, no matter how challenging and negative it is, it will end. And from there, we start to work on, if you have low income or, loss of income and you don't have enough savings, and then we start to figure out people's sort of day-to-day living expectations and what adjustments we need to make. And again, those are challenging, but it also will end. I think most of the time people like to project, I'm in a tough spot, money's tight, can't find a job. Oh my gosh, the rest of my life is going to be that way. And it just isn't. You have to have faith in yourself. Kraig, you and I have spoken just a couple of weeks ago about, you figured out how to get a job before, you figured out how to be successful before. Now you have that skill, you can go replicate it, but it's just going to take some time.
Yeah. I think there's a lot that people are thinking about. How do I stay retained in my position, and how do I also find myself in a position to be recruitable by others? And I think that's important as well in a situation where there's uncertainty. We ran through questions from our conversation 2 weeks ago, and both of them seem to say the same thing, basically, is complacent, stuck, don't know where to start. And I think that's what scares people. There's a fear factor, not necessarily just about where this country is or where everybody is headed with the economy, et cetera. It's where am I going to be in 5 years? How about where am I going to be in 5 weeks? I just don't know. And that's what scares people. Mike, I'll let you go here.
Well, yeah, and first of all, I have to just say I do feel outnumbered with the Mizzou mafia that I'm surrounded by.
We'll send you a hat or a shirt. Yeah, no problem.
An honorary member. Okay,
Sure.
thank you,
Sure.
thank you. No, but Kent, great to have you on, man, and just love what you're doing and your approach and that servant leadership mindset. I just can hear that in your voice and the words that you're using, and it's just love having you here. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to take a step in a little side direction on this with COVID. And my belief right now is that what COVID has done and why people are beyond the uncertainty of jobs and the politics and all the stuff going on right now, the things we're seeing on social media, is also that our routines, our habits have been completely disrupted. We are creatures of habit. We rely upon those daily checklists and things that we do to show up and do this and be that and handle this. And it's completely thrown things upside down for all of us, and I think that what COVID's actually done is put a mirror up to a lot of our faces to really show us, the places that we really need to focus on and the places where we may have used distractions, whether it was in work or habits or mindset that we really could be working on at this time. Right. So that we get through this to Kent's point, we're going to get through this. Ken, I got a question that I was thinking of that I'm really curious about, especially in your position and the responsibility that you and your team have for people is that transparency, I know, is a fundamental piece of culture and a touchstone for Krilogy. How does transparency come to life for your advisors today, or for yourself, and how you're interacting with your clients to help them get to a better place or feel a little more certain about where things are?
Well, I think number one, you have to be committed to being excellent. And, we have a rule of engagement here: give relentless effort to help our clients accomplish their financial goals. So if you're committed to that rule of engagement, you're really going to have to spend time trying to figure out, in today's world, how do we continue to impact our clients in a positive, meaningful way. And, whether that's now people have to learn different communication tools that we're not used to learning, helping clients through signing forms online when they didn't have to do that before in the past. You have to challenge yourself each and every day. I think one of the things that I'm seeing across the board, even in myself, by the way, at first it was like, okay, we're all working from home. We've got the technology to do it. Hey, this is kind of nice. And then all of a sudden you got to this moment of, oh my gosh, my wife's ready to kick me out of the house. Kids are walking behind me in Zoom meetings, and I think now it's getting challenging to just win the day. And I think everyone should really focus on, how do I win the day? How do I win this, from 8 a.m. in the morning to noon? How do I win the morning slot? And by winning that day, you can just continue to get better and better, 1% better each and every day. And what is better? Better is how am I improving as a virtual advisor to my clients? Because that's that's the game we're playing right now. Now it will come back, and we'll have to go back to, some sort of, personal interaction, which we can't wait. But in the end, you just have to start checking things off the box. Mike, I loved your sort of move and give philosophy when you were answering the question earlier about how do I get out of a rut. That should be a hashtag, like move and give. I'm going
to write that down. Hang on.
It's a powerful.
Mike takes a lot of notes, Kent, just so you know. He's also got like a lot of sayings. He's going to plant some trees in your backyard. He's got some other things that he'll throw at you. Just stay with us. Keep going.
I love it. No, The Go-Giver is one of my favorite books. Pindar is one of my favorite characters out there. I actually have it in my, when I do my life goals every morning, Pindar is one of the people I actually talk about. So, awesome. But win the day. That's what we have to do.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the quarterback coming back out here. He's talking about, quarters and looking at the day. You can break the day up into 4 quarters, right? Halftime being around noon. So how are you going to approach each quarter?
Exactly.
It's probably a chapter in your book.
Jill mentioned it earlier, just start checking boxes. Just win something. Make your bed. You can start by making your bed.
Right. Start with a win.
Yeah. All right. We're talking with Kent Skornia, President and CEO at Krilogy, author of The Playbook. And I want to get to books a little bit later for both of you two. And Jill's working on hers now. And I think, what are you, 40 pages in? Somewhere around there. I think that's what it is. Okay, good. All right. So here's what I've done. I've put some questions that I think people should think about. If I was spending time with people one-on-one, and what I want to do in setting this up for you all is allow you to go in every direction you want to with this. But I'm gonna run through these a couple at a time. And the first one is, I think, in uncertain times, remember that's our topic, taking control in uncertain times, and also putting you on top of the client list. Now, I've said this many times in my workshops and speaking engagements that it's very easy. And believe me, I always think about the check writer. Who's bringing me in? What value can I bring to them? How can I inspire, empower them when they walk out the door to go do something and take action with the message that I have? That's what communication is, a link between ideas and action, or words and action. But I think it's really important that we get people to put themselves first in a tough time like this. You've got to think Kentucky Derby, okay? Just happened a few days ago. Get the blinders on a little bit. Mike talks about blind spots and trying to get those out of the way and predict what might come. But in this case, I feel like you've got to think about yourself and protect yourself. So I would ask, am I focused on the right things? And this kind of goes back to what Jill and Mike were talking about at the very beginning. In uncertain times, okay, it's so easy to be distracted. It is incredibly easy to get off the rails, to take the fork and you really needed to go straight and you don't know what you're doing here. I've had people tell me, keep the main thing. Okay, so keeping focused on the right things. That's the first thing. The second one is this, and then I'll get a comment from you, Kent, on this. Asking the question, what can't I control? And I think you probably would know what my next question would be if I'm starting with what can't I control. But I think what I can't control is really what needs to come first, because I think it helps with focus. So I'll let you guys chime in on 2 of the 5 questions that I've got. And as I do that, I will also tell you at home that if you have questions for us, here's how you can do it. The Kann Advisory Facebook page, and also you can email directly info@kannadvisory.com, info@kannadvisory.com. And as you can tell, we write them down, we keep them, we read them, and we try to help the next week with some of the best questions. So Ken, I'll start with you with those questions that I just threw up there.
I have
when I say that.
So I have a unique sort of theory on, am I focused on the right things right now? There's 2 ways I look at it, sort of a barbell approach. Number 1 is exactly what you stated, Kraig. What is right in front of me? What do I need to accomplish today or at this moment? But sometimes, even when I get in those moments where, okay, we got to knock this, and this out, I need to know the bigger picture. And that comes out to spending time by myself, dreaming and building a future, almost perfect life that you can't get to, but you can at least strive to. And those are things you can control, because if you have some sort of inspiration, doing them mundane things each and every moment gets a little bit easier, a little bit lighter. So that's my strategy, sort of barbell. Take a moment, take an hour, take 2 hours, take 3 hours of your day, even if you have to get up early in the morning. I mean, like really early. Kraig, you know me, I get up, 4 or 5 in the morning. I will spend that time sort of dreaming and rehashing the dreams I've put out there, so that I can be motivated to go out and do the things I need to do for the next, 8 to 10 to 12 hours to knock things out. Those are the things that I can control at the moment I should be focused on.
Yeah. Mike, the things you can't control, did you have any thoughts on that?
I've got a lot of thoughts on that. Love that answer, Kent, especially about the dreaming and looking ahead to plan out and looking at the bigger picture. But here's the thing. I can't control other people, and I can't control their emotions and what comes at me. So where I'm going with that, it kind of leads into what I can control. Is we often try to focus on the things that I want to control, the external. As a race car driver, they know, the best drivers know that they can't control what other drivers are doing on the track and what's happening around them. And oftentimes they find themselves having to respond or react, but they're doing that from a place of understanding where they are, so they can be in the best position to kind of work through whatever that situation is. And it's really no different than what we're dealing with in our lives, right? As we often look to the outside to control and realize we can't control the other people around us.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah. The third question I've got there is, what can I control? And you basically just touched on it. And Jill, go ahead, Mike. Did you have something else you wanted to add?
Well, just maybe segueing to that, and then I'll defer over to Jill. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on her there. But in my opinion, Kraig, you and I have talked about this before. There's really only 3 things that we can control, and that's our attitude, our decisions, and our behavior. That's it. So kind of getting back to that point of trying to control the people, we can't do it, right? All we can do is control where we're coming from, attitudes, decisions, and behaviors, so that we are acting out toward the world in a way that aligns with our values and who we are.
Yeah. Jill?
Well, I think, to your point, Mike, what we can control is how we react to these situations, right? Yeah. I'm thinking about Kent with this discussion of what you can't control and what you can control in discussions you're probably having with a lot of your clients. I mean, you can't control the stock market. And I'm sure that when the Dow dropped 7,000 points at the beginning of COVID, there was a lot of panic with your clients. What do we do? I'd love your thoughts, Kent, on sort of like, how when we're talking about money and finances and people are worried, it's, who would have ever thought that the stock market would have come back as much as it has, right? Like it's just, everything's been so crazy, but there's a lot of control issues, I'm sure, with people, and especially when it comes to their money during this whole last 6 months. So can you talk a little bit about that and sort of just an overarching what those discussions might have been like with some of your clients and how you handle that?
I'm sure he's never gotten this question in all of the last 4 months.
Hey, are you looking for some free advice? Is that what you're doing? You
No,
free advice. I get
but
it.
I just think it's, people are, I'm sure, like, we're talking about control, and money and control, I think, really go hand in hand. So I just would love to hear Kent's perspective on that, whether it's specific to the question I asked or overall.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have always wanted to ring the bell, and NASDAQ or whatever. There's a lot of people right now that would like to take the bell and like chuck it out the window, and they never want to ring it at all. Go ahead, Ken.
Right.
Well, I have gray hair because of the stock market, so that starts there, not because of my kids. But I think ultimately it's about the strategy you put forth for your plan previous to the downturn in the economy and obviously the market, but then it slingshots back up. You can't control that. You can't control policy. You can't control the stock market. You can't control COVID. We're trying to, but it's just a hard thing. But ultimately, when we're sitting down with our clients and someone wants to make a dramatic change in their portfolio, maybe take risk off or put risk on their portfolio, we actually remind them of what was our original plan, what was the strategy that we set up previously, and where do you want to go? What's the end result? Some people like to take advantage of drops in the stock market. Some people like to, sell out when the market's getting hot. It doesn't really matter to us. It matters what the plan is. And I think that's actually a good segue into life. You might lose your job, you might get furloughed, but what was your original plan in life? And if you can always revert back, I think that helps sort of anchor people into a better mindset so that you can react to things that you can't control.
Yeah, really good. Really good.
I can completely echoing that. Laura Cross had on the Facebook Live had responded in here. We have to work on responding versus reacting, and I love that because Kent, I think that gets right back to you dialing people back and getting them refocused on what was the plan. Let's not react to what's happening here in the moment. Let's respond based upon where we started with the plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And just to go a little bit further, money is emotion. Mm-hmm. And when you see your portfolio drop, it's very emotional. And you have to find a way to take the emotion out of. We manage $1.5 billion. So when the market drops, $1.5 billion. When the market drops a significant number, I always joke, we started Krilogy with $19 million in assets under management. Our portfolios, we could move that much in one day now. And emotionally, you have to get over that because you need to rely on the fundamentals of what you're doing. And I think most people just need to realize that just get back to the fundamentals, long-term view. I'm talking about life in general at this moment, not just portfolios, but they coincide so much. It's all about the long-term vision that you put forth for yourself.
Want to take a quick break and let people know about Jill, Mike, and me and what we're doing. So here's a little something for you, Kent, and your clients. Well, this is what we do and what we're offering. Obviously, we do Elevating You on Thursdays, but collectively, each and every one of us has something that we've been doing, whether we're out in front of this audience or that audience, doing podcasts or writing books, whatever it might be. But we really are excited about this. And this is our new series called Present to Win. And it is a webinar-based series. Now, we're going to be doing workshops, which we can't wait. I mean, you're talking about 3 people sitting there back to the Kentucky Derby who are in the gates and ready to go. And nobody's opened the gates yet, okay? We haven't had the gates open, so we're stuck. And we're just waiting, trotting around on a track, ready to run. but we're ready to do a workshop together. And in this situation, it's your company, your organization, and one, we say, transformational opportunity to bring us all together. You pick your sales team, you pick your group of folks that you want impacted, and we've got one power-packed, interactive, empowering, inspiring webinar that brings all of our skill sets together, from a marketing, branding, presentation skills, communication, telling your story type of a way, and a lot of actionable takeaways. Yeah. And we're doing this through this little camera right here, all together for the benefit of you. We call it eye-opening. I know it's an experience that your folks will rave about. When I talk about Kann Advisory Group, people say it's elevating communication and say, what do you do? We get people talking. And that's about building a brand and getting others to talk about it, but we'll coach you as well to be able to do something special. And as a throw-in, you get to earn the green shoe. I'll leave the rest up to you all out there to email info@kannadvisory.com to find out more. But that is what we're talking about. Now, back to our regularly scheduled programming and the questions that I had.
So well played.
Yeah, thank you. Jill and I have a little bit of experience doing those kinds of things and going to break. I feel like I'm on Sirius XM right now going, let's go to Mike in Vegas. Mike, you're on. But before, let me read this about what's coming up at 8:30 Eastern. Okay, who do I want to impact is the next thought that I have in my 5 questions here. And I think that's important. So in communication, one of the things that I talk about a lot is I don't care what audience I have. It could be 800 people, Kent, that I'm doing a keynote in front of. It could be 15 in one of my workshops. And I think Mike can relate to this because he's done these, and Jill's got big audience as well. I don't personally care if I've got 800 in front of me or 8 in front of me. It is not about the size of the room. It's about the size of the message. And what I always think about is, what is the outcome that I'm looking for? So I think this could probably speak to where Kent goes with his clients. Let's think about our ultimate outcome. You might be dreaming, you might be thinking you want to get here or there, but I think it's very important to say, who do I want to impact? If I'm focusing on myself in an uncertain time, okay, and I'm going to Jill's point about the passion, and I'm going to Mike's point about, doing the work, right? Mike, you talk about that a lot. You've got to put in the work and get things done. I think you got to think about who your audience is and who you want to impact with that. So, Kent, I'm going to let you have that as a topic as well for how you work with your clients in uncertain times like this.
I'm a big write it down and it becomes a reality person. So when you pose that question to me personally, Kraig, I would actually probably spend the next 15 to 20 minutes saying, who are the people I want to impact right now? Mm-hmm. Maybe it's my personal life. Maybe it's who are the people I can impact, my skills and abilities that I've developed over all these years. And I think from that moment, I can then be passionate about that impact. If my skills today are different than what they were when I first started Krilogy, right? Leadership, management, processing, strategy, those sort of things. I can go out and then put forth to the world, like, these are what I can do to help people. You also want to figure out who you're hanging out with. If you want to be better, hang out with people that are better than you, and better in a lot of different terms. Better people, like just, more loving, more caring, more amazing than you are. Better with their finances, better with their career. Hang out with really great people, and then, find ways to make an impact on their lives. And I think, that's the way I would treat, if you pose that question to me, that's the way I would sort of treat it in my personal life.
Here's my 5th, and that's, how can I get started? And I think this kind of goes back to where we all began today, which was the question from Mike and also from Sharon, where they felt stuck and complacent. These are challenging times. I've said that we want to try to put you, or me in this case, at the top of the client list, because if you don't take care of yourself, you're no good to anybody else. If you haven't thought about what your ultimate purpose is and who you want to affect, how are you going to make any kind of an impact? So I always start there, and I don't consider it a selfish thing at all. I have to think about what I'm trying to do and stay focused to that. And I think Mike knows that every single thing that I do, be it a podcast or be it this, it's ultimately to the same goal. and what you're trying to do with that audience, and just maybe create a couple of extra tentacles to achieve the same things. But how can I get started? So with that, Jill, you see the 5 questions. I'm going to let you take a crack at whatever final thought you have on these, because I have just a couple of other things I want to get to today before we all depart. So I'll give you a thought. And Mike, I'm going to hang on you for a minute because you're going to come to the next topic that I bring up. Go ahead, Jill.
Oh, okay.
So real quickly, when you were talking about who do I want to impact, one thing that I was thinking, and it's really been something that's come into play since I've left QVC, and I'm trying to, build this new brand, especially in this world of social influencing, which is all about connection. But I think the question of that is as important as the answer. And it's all about service. That's what we're all doing. We're wanting to serve our audience with great information, with engaging content, with insightful commentary. So coming at that approach from the service perspective, I think is really important. And then I think for, the sort of final point there, I'm going to quote something from Star Wars. I'm a little bit of a Star Wars geek. This just in. But Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try. And I think, how do you get started? You do it. You get out there and you make that small step, whatever it is. Don't look at how big it is. I work with a lot of people on organization and all of those kinds of things. And they're like, oh my gosh, my closet. And I'm like, don't look at the whole closet. Let's start with just your pants and let's clean out the ones that don't fit and let's call it a day. Like, just do something. And you'll be on your way to the next thing that you can do. But that's what I think gets things moving, as our friend Mike likes to talk about movement.
Just do the work, digging in.
Just do
Mike,
it.
I don't know if you have any quotes from Rocky or maybe the Bad News Bears, if you wanted to bring a movie and blast from the past.
Action drives clarity.
Action drives clarity. There he goes with that again. He's got that. Yeah, there you go. There you go. See, Ken, we're providing. Not only do we bring you because you said hang around with cool people that are better than you. That's one reason why we brought you on. But we also want to share a couple things. Okay, so here's something else that I think is important that I wanted to share with people. And this is just a quick focus, putting pen to paper or pencil to paper. And I would challenge people at home to ask these questions of yourself today. All right. So if Kent's going to break it down by quarters and do it that way and divide his day up, you could start with this one. Who am I? All right. Who you are. Answer those questions. Put down 3 or 4 things, what you stand for, basically. Who are you? Then ask yourself what you do. Now, it's very important if we're talking about being retained in your current job or recruitable to the next one. Imagine the pool of candidates that are out there, either furloughed, out of work completely. That is your competition. So ask yourself this and put it to paper. How do you do what you do? In whatever industry you're in, how do you personally go about it? And how do you impact other people? What are your goals? If somebody said, how do you deliver this? How do you bring us this? Okay, you better have that answer. I don't want my workshop to be like anybody else's. When somebody says, hey, I've never seen one like that before, perfect. When somebody tells me nobody's ever done that, perfect. That's exactly what I want to hear. I don't want people to tell me that I've seen this movie play out before. That's not what I'm looking to do. And I talk about this quite a bit, is we don't want to necessarily follow the curve. We want to set the curve. And when it comes to that, I think you need to ask yourself this: why do you do what you do? So back to Mike in Arizona and Sharon in Rhode Island, when you're stuck and feeling like you don't know where to go, ask yourself the why question. All right. If I don't know if I really love what I'm doing, then I have to ask myself, well, why did I start doing it in the first place? Why did I create my own business? Why did I do this? Why did I do that? You've got to be able to answer those questions. So with that, Mike, now I'll let you go.
Well, yeah, I would say, in these spaces here, especially looking at movement and answering those questions, especially in times now of uncertainty, this going back to where we started, I believe one of the key areas of movement is our mindset, our perspective, how we're approaching it. I heard early on in COVID this statement from a Hopi Native American elder, who said that we can choose to look at this great pause, as a hole that we've fallen into, a place where we wonder, how did we get in here? How are we going to get out? Or we can look at it perhaps as a portal, as something that can take us to a better place. And ultimately, that's going to come down to the choices that we make, which starts with our mindset and perspective that can help answer the questions. And that big one, Kraig, because that's a scary one, man. You throw out there, answer why you do it. Some people may not know because they just got on the track and we're going. That's why these conversations we're having and these episodes, if people want to go back and listen to previous ones, will help give them some insight and maybe empower them to answer that why question. But we'd encourage you to really spend some time right now digging in, thinking about that why and what matters, because we aren't going to get really another opportunity like this for a while. And I know it comes with a lot of challenges, but with perspective can actually take us to a better place.
Jill's got a brand. Mike's got a brand. Mike helps others build, maintain, and nourish their brand. Yeah. I've got a brand. Kent, you run a company that is a brand, Krilogy, and you've got your own personal brand. You and I've talked about this many times. The last thing I want to put in front of everybody is this. This is your time, folks out there. This is your brand. And I know these are uncertain times, but I do want you to put yourself first. I do want you to think about the impact that you can make. I don't want you to sit on the sideline questioning yourself and your ability. There's no time for that. If you're going to put in the work, as Mike says, put in positive work and start thinking about the success stories. I'm blessed to have some individual clients that I work with on a consulting basis in career and helping them with presentation and whatnot. And I tell them the same thing all the time. I will not, this is day one, I will not be able to make you the best public speaker out there. But I will promise you this, I will help you become your best public speaker, your best presenter, and your best brand as well. That's what we're working towards. So in this situation, I've put 4 things to think about here from a brand perspective that I'd like everybody to take notice of. And this is your time to think about these things. And we've touched on them all really in this session that we've got going today. The first thing is to focus on your network. And I'm talking about the people around you and building that network. Don't just collect business cards. Don't just collect LinkedIn connections, make them work for you. But as I think it was Mike that said earlier, do for them or give to them. Maybe it was Jill that said that, but I know we're all on the same page with this. Number 2 is your net worth. And Kent talks about that quite a bit. Assess it. Where am I? Where do I want to go? Dream big. How am I going to get there? Let go of the fear that the economy or the market is going to take you tumbling and think about where you want to go forward. When it comes to career, and Kent, I'm going to let you comment on all of this. You're going to be my go-to here in a second. I want you to focus on performance because that's the skill set that you have. Okay, what do I bring to the table? And then when the red light goes on, and by that, I'm not just talking about television. Jill and I can relate to this. I'm talking about when the red light goes on for your day, whether that's 4 a.m. as Kent brought up, or 5 a.m. when Mike started writing his book every day for an hour, whatever it might be, when that red light goes on, are you over-delivering on the expectation that somebody else has expected when they brought you in the first place? If you want to make an impact, give people back something better than what they expected when you gave it to them or when you were offered the opportunity. That's how more opportunities come. Lastly is the term your platforms. And that, in that way, I'm talking about, social media. What are you putting out there? Is it of value? Are you trying to be known or are you trying to be knowable? Because there's a difference. It's not about just getting followers. It's giving people something that they're emotionally compelled and charged to go share with somebody else. That's where you win, is if you put something out there that not only impacts somebody there, but it will take them to another level and help them go share and create a bigger tribe for you. So with that, Kent, I want to let you comment on any of the direction that I just went. I know I threw a lot out there, but I'm sure there's something that you want to tap into.
Yeah, I would say if I looked at all of those pillars, I would look at that and say, you know what, you need to spend time on strategy to make sure you're understanding where you are. By the way, the net worth piece comes last.
Okay.
Because if you crush it with your network and you crush it with your performance and you crush it with your platforms, your net worth will take care of itself. It is a result of the actions you take day in and day out. And I think, I have something that I brought that I think, probably not public speaking 101, but I look at this every morning. You know what this is? These are my 100 dreams.
Wow.
I've got them written down every morning.
Okay.
And by the way, laminated.
Written down and laminated. I
That
want
way,
to
if you
call that
spill
out.
coffee on it, you're still okay.
That's
Totally
awesome.
okay.
Okay.
And you know what? Some of them are 25-year BHAGs. Some of them are, we need to knock them out in the next month. Some of them are reoccurring. You know what's crazy about writing it down? It becomes reality. And it anchors your brain and pulls you to that accomplishment. And I think when I see those 4 different topics, I always go back to, well, I spend the month of February redreaming, and then I laminate, and then I look at it every morning, and I try to check things off the box. I'm not going to get to 100 of them, by the way. I'll never get to the 100. One of them is a hole-in-one in golf. I don't know if I'll ever get that. I'm striving for it.
Yeah, you will. You're way too good. Plus, you have a kid that's like incredibly good. So if that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will.
It does, for sure. But, some of them are flat out dreams. Others are really realistic. And I think for me, it's all about strategy. So when I see network performance and platforms, you need to spend time on the strategy of your career, your life, and really where you want to take things. From there, your net worth will take care of itself. I promise you this. I see really successful people day in and day out, and they're accomplishing amazing things because they're focusing on their strategy, where they want to go, who they hang out with. And performance is, if you're in the right moment and you're in the right position and you're serving the right people, your performance is going to be off the charts. So, that's the way I view those four different boxes. And I think net worth will come. Just have faith in that piece.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to do because we've only got a couple of minutes left, and I want to share next week's topic. Jill, I'm going to give you a final thought here. I'll share next week's topic, and I'll let Mike have a final thought, and then we'll let Kent have one as well. So, Jill, your stage.
Well, I loved what Kent just talked about. And I love that, the net worth part of it being the last part, because all of those other things, if those are all coming into play, you're right, Kent, it will all lead to success. And as many people define success, it's with the money. I think today, we are all living in uncertain times. It's very hard to really understand that you've got to let things go, right? Like that's hard for everybody in all aspects of their life. But I do really think that it's worth time for all of us to take if you're starting to feel anxious or getting worked up or frustrated or in that rut. What can't I control here? So let's move that. All right, I can't control it. I don't need to be obsessing over it anymore. And going back to what can I control and what are the actions as a result of that? I think that will help motivate people. And for the people that we've talked to who are feeling stuck or feeling uncertain or don't know what to do, my hope is that offers them a little bit on the path to clarity.
Yeah, really good. So there it is. Kent's going to move the boxes around a little bit. I don't have time to rework the slide in front of everybody right now, but we're moving net worth, and apparently everybody's okay with the other ones. But I think it's important to focus on your time and to Mike Mooney's point that we talk about all the time, your brand. With that, I want to share next week's topic. And this is going to be fun because I don't want to know what your answer is. And this allows us to go in a great different number of directions. I think everybody's going to come up with one skill set, one career skill set that you need to have in that toolbox ASAP. It could be emotional. It could be physical. It could be, a talent that you don't have. But we've discussed this before, that the importance of education, especially in a time right now. See, as I've got here, don't sit idle. Right? Don't sit still during idle times. That's where we are right now. Like we're all just kind of feeling like, man, here I am at home or wherever you are, and then nothing's moving. But if you sit still, this isn't the time to do that. This is the time to better yourself and one career skill set that you could come up with on your own. Mike, I'm going to let you have a final thought here. Go for it.
Absolutely. So, and thank you. And Kent, I absolutely loved all the things you were saying here, not only related to how your approach is with your team and your clients, but also, man, how you get after your day and, more importantly, plan out. I mean, that's inspiring to me. I'll tell you right now, I was looking on the live stream, Jason Salmonson, put in there 100 dreams. That's awesome. I mean, it just seems, it's incredible. So, but with that, the idea of movement and getting some clarity in the directions you're moving, where's your brand going to come to life? Like, what can you be doing to bring that brand to life? And Tara Faulkner McAllister put in on the line here, and I in full transparency, I had to bring in an Elon alum. I went to Elon with her way back in the day. So to do fighting
baseball
Christian.
athlete, by the way, Ken. And Mooney uses his hands a lot, and all I want you to know is that he was a pitcher. So when he puts his hand up, I mean, he's got a mitt bigger than anything I used when I played third base, catcher, or outfield. And you can only imagine that the spin rate on that curveball or that slider, it's ridiculous. You should have been a quarterback and like Kent and zip the pill. Okay, go ahead, Mike. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, man, no, that's all. Taking me back, man, taking me back. But her word in here, she's like, I focus on the word service. So if you were to think about, if you're trying to move in a direction, think about a word or two or something that you want to put forth in this world. And let's take Tara's example of service. Start thinking about, how does service come to life today for me? Is it in the words that I use in a phone call? Is it in an action that I take with a colleague or a friend? Is it a message that I share on LinkedIn that comes back to the idea of service? You see, the idea of building the brand is building consistency, right? And in the consistency of the message, people will start to connect what those brand elements are, those attributes. So not only is it going to help your brand by moving forward, but it's also going to help you in uncertain times move towards something.
20 seconds on your book, Mike. I know it's Reputation Shift, but don't you have a little bit of news you can share, and we'll do a little more next week on it?
Oh, man. Yeah, I do. And thank you, Kraig. I appreciate it. So Reputation Shift, I mean, it is your roadmap for building, protecting, strengthening one of your greatest assets, your reputations. And in today's world, quite honestly, and I think we all know this sitting here, that there's never been another time when our reputations have been more valuable, yet fragile and vulnerable. And we have to be intentional in building that. So I actually spent about 4 months last year in the studio doing the audio reading of Reputation Shift, and just got news the other day that it is now live and available in the audio format on audible.com. It'll soon be on Amazon and iTunes as well. So we'll have more on that and some promo codes too for our friends.
Ooh, promo codes.
Congratulations, Mike.
Congratulations.
Good. Kent, I'm going to let you have a word here. And I just want to say, on behalf of everybody, thank you for carving out some time away from clients in a tough situation. You wrote a book called The Playbook. I'm going to give you an opportunity to share a little bit what's behind that and what motivated you to write that book, and also some final thoughts that you might have for our viewers here.
Well, thank you. I wrote the playbook almost 10 years ago. It was a lifestyle and wealth management guide for the modern athlete. And that was 10 years ago. Lots changed in the last 10 years. But I will say this, there's fundamentals in that book that are really evergreen. You have you utilize experts, I think, is number one. There are 4 quarters to a wealth life and a wealth management life. Spend time in each one of those quarters. But I think also what I've learned, first of all, thank you for the time. I could speak for the next 3 or 4 hours with you all. I love this conversation. Jill and Mike are just amazing. Jill, congrats on your book as you're working through it. Writing a book.
Kent, that is such a joke right now. We are pushing her.
I am not jealous right now. I can tell you that, Jill. I mean, congrats when you get it done. But
thank you.
It's a labor of
signed
love.
Copy coming your way.
Yes, exactly. It's a labor of love, but I'm sure it's going to be amazing when you're finished. And it was on one of my life goals. And I think, write things down, dream, take moments out of your day to consider what's going to happen in the future, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And also just remember that, today's really an uncertain time, and it will end. It will change. And that's you sort of anchor to that. And I think that'll help all of us, make our way through the rest of 2020 and on into 2021. But thank you so much, Kraig. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, no, thank you. We appreciate that. And just to be clear on this whole thing, Jill is working on the framework for her book right now, right? Because we've absolutely pushed her into it. Now, we don't know if it's going to be recipes for success or recipes for your kitchen, but there will be something to it. And
or maybe closet related too. You never know. She could like bring it all together. Closet.
The Jill of all trades. I can do it all.
That's true. That's true. What's in your closet? Okay. Elevating You Thursdays. Kraig, Mike, and Jill, brand new, as we say, inspiring career conversations. Look, we do this for your benefit. Grab a cup of coffee. Just sit down with us, share. We love the comments that we get on Facebook. This will be posted. We get asked this a lot. We do repost this on our LinkedIn platforms, on Twitter and elsewhere. So you'll get a chance to see this once again if you missed it today. But share it with other people. And we ask that. We're trying to build that audience. And to be honest, I think Mike and I would agree it's gone beyond where we thought it would go this quickly. So we're blessed, thrilled, humbled, honored, all that stuff.
Grateful. Yeah.
Kent, thank you. Jill, have a wonderful day. Mike, appreciate it. And to all of you out there, I'm Kraig Kann. Thanks for letting us hopefully elevate you a little bit. Make it your best day and do something special for somebody else. Have a great one. Take care.
Thank you, guys.